It's weird to say, but the Cincinnati Bearcats, they got to avoid the trap game this Saturday.
You are Locked On Bearcats, your daily podcast on the Cincinnati Bearcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Bearcats. My name is Jeff Carr, and I'm all Cincinnati all the time. I've worked in multiple university athletic departments, and I've been a football season ticket holder for the Bearcats for 7 seasons now. And Locked On Bearcats is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team, your Bearcats, every single day. On today's podcast, Chad Brendel joins me, and we're going to get you set for this matchup on Saturday that's very intriguing, a homecoming game for Oklahoma State. We're going to give you our predictions as to what's going to happen a little bit later on in the show. We're also going to break down scrambling quarterbacks and how the Bearcats defense are going to handle guys like this, because Cam Fancher scrambled a bit this past week for UCF. Sam Jackson's going to look to do the same for Oklahoma State. But we will begin with what this feels like is a trap game, which is, I think, more says about what the Bearcats are doing than it is anything about Oklahoma State. That's all on today's podcast. That is brought to you by Mazda. Just like our athletes sweat every detail, Mazda puts more into every vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. And we are going to be moved today by Chad Brendel. He is the man who runs the best corner of the internet for anybody that loves the Bearcats. Chad, what you got for me today?
It's been a week, Jeff. Sorry I wasn't able to do our normally timed spot, but things in Cincinnati are always fluid.
Always. So many weird things going on, so many things that life throws at you. And I mean, I had a great time talking with Paul Keels and with Mo Egger yesterday about Jim Kelly. And I know, just before we really get into anything about Oklahoma State, just kind of give me a word about Jim Kelly. Like, what is it that you will remember most about Jim?
His friendship, standing at practice. One of my favorite things. I'm a sports nerd, right? One of my favorite things is being at practice and talking to people that actually know what they're watching.
Right.
Like, I'm not a former professional player. I didn't play at a high level. I don't really know a whole lot. But I've gotten to this point because I listen and because I like to stand and chat with people that know what's going on, that have a much better understanding than me. And I watched a lot of football practices with Jim, and his love for UC was that he was the biggest proponent, supporter of UC football that there was. I mean, he passed away at 71. He spent 71 years. Literally 71 years around the Cincinnati football program. His dad was a player. The Hall of Fame is named after his dad. His dad was an administrator. Jim grew up around the program, and he was the embodiment of Cincinnati football, and picking his brain, getting his knowledge was amazing. And he was always one that was more than willing to share. And I'm going to miss that friendship. I'm going to miss that partner to stand there and watch practice with. And he was as authentic and kind of a human as you will ever find. And the UC community lost an icon, an absolute icon in Jim Kelly.
I'm jealous of your relationship with him and of everybody's relationship with. I remember his voice on the radio, and I got the chance when I produced some Bearcats games whenever I worked at the radio station to talk to him on the talk back, but that's as close as I ever got to him. So yeah, I appreciate y'all's perspective on him. But I know he would want the Bearcats to win this weekend, and the Bearcats are heavily favored. And especially when you look at what they've got coming up next, it kind of feels like this is a trap game. And it's weird to say that coming into this year where we're just like, boy, we just hope that the Bearcats, play well this season. And now it kind of feels like they've got a lot bigger aspirations on the table, but that starts with taking care of business in a hostile-ish environment where people in some sections aren't going to be wearing shirts and they're all going to be celebrating homecoming.
I think the trap game was last week.
Okay.
that had the setup of you're coming off those two big wins. You're playing a team that in Central Florida wasn't good, but they were super talented. And those are the ones that can be really, really tricky. And you saw why. They had a really good defense. They frustrated Cincinnati's offense enough that Cincinnati could never pull away. Fortunately, UCF's offense is dreadful, and they never threatened. But I thought last week was the trap game. I think the bright side of that is Oklahoma State's going to have Cincinnati's full attention because they didn't play well last week.
Right.
You played well against Kansas. You played well against Iowa State. The trap is that next game coming off of those two big games. Now, maybe if they had blown out Central Florida with ease, like they probably should have, they left a bunch on the table offensively in that game. Then maybe, you look at this one and go, okay, now you're getting into the back half of the schedule, and now your brain is drifting to conference championships and whatnot and what have you. Then maybe. But I think they got humbled a little bit by Central Florida. Oklahoma State is the worst team in the league. Sure, it's going to be a good environment at night. It's homecoming. But they're bad, man. They are bad. Like, they're one of the worst offenses in America. Their defense has really, really struggled to tackle. They've tried to put up a fight the past couple of weeks since Gundy got fired. But ultimately, it just comes down to talent, and they don't have a lot of it. And I think Cincinnati is going to be looking to get back in rhythm after not playing well against Central Florida. Maybe I'll look stupid on this, but I don't see a trap game just because I think this game has their attention. And plus, they played Oklahoma State in Stillwater 2 years ago and got embarrassed in the second half.
They did.
Ollie Gordon, I think when they show up,
240 yards that he ran on.
It was. They show up on Saturday. He might still be just running for touchdowns. So I think that will have their attention. So I'm not as worried about it this week as I was last week.
And that's an interesting part of all this, because you're right. Like, I mean, the only win that Oklahoma State has is against a team that isn't even in the Power 4 conferences. And then you've also got the fact that their quarterback, who will be starting the game, was a receiver for them at the beginning of the season. And then their backup quarterback was playing flag football at UCF. And that is per our man Cody at Oklahoma, or Locked On Oklahoma State. So I found that intriguing to see. But he's also like, because of this, they've ran a game plan, at least early on in games, where it's like, you know, throwing anything at the wall to see if it'll stick. So they will run out some wild looking plays. They'll have running backs throwing passes, like things like that. Is that something that gives you a little bit of pause based on the fact that it kind of felt like the unconventional side of UCF's offense, which there wasn't much of, but there was like an element to it. And we'll really dive into the one element that scares me a bit for Oklahoma State, but it just kind of felt like there was a little bit of unconventionality that sort of worked in the middle of the field against the Bearcats defense last week.
Jeff, everybody is going to have success in the middle of the field against this defense. Like, it's just how it's designed. Like, it's a bend but don't break 3-3-5 defense. You're going to, unless you're Northwestern State, you are generally going to have some success in the middle of the field because they're okay with it. They want to keep you in front. They don't want anything to beat them over the top. You're going to be able, if you have patience at all, you're going to be able to work the ball 3, 4, 5 yards at a time. But they're going to count on, we're going to get you in enough third and fourth downs that you're going to make some mistakes. You're not going to make every play in those situations. And what that means is you're going to pile up yards between the 20s. And Cincinnati's okay with that. Like that's why when everybody went spread, that's kind of where this 3-3-5 came from, especially this Big 12 3-3-5, which I like to refer to it as, because it's really the only league where you're seeing the 3 high safeties being used. But the Big 12 was, run and gun, air raid, whatever you want to call it, straight up and down the field. And then teams said, we got to keep this underneath. We cannot continue to let these teams bust these 50, 60, 70-yard plays. So that's the design of the offense. And they're okay with it. Like we as fans,
That's fair.
or we as observers get really annoyed by it, right? Because it feels like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
But then you look up against a team like Central Florida, and I think Oklahoma State is going to fall into this category as well. They can't hit explosives. They don't have a ton of talent. So they struggle to make you pay for the way that you're playing defense. I mean, it felt like UCF was moving the ball at will, right?
Right.
And you look up in the middle of the fourth quarter and they had 3 points.
Right.
So,
that is true.
It's almost by design. And it's great for us because it gives us something to talk about every week.
Right.
But as long as the points aren't going on the board, as long as it doesn't look like Kansas, where they gave up a couple of those explosives, then I think they're perfectly fine with it.
So that probably means that it's not as big of a deal, but there's still something about the ability to scramble that Sam Jackson has that looks similar to Cam Fancher, if not a little bit better, that has me slightly concerned about this defense. We'll discuss that coming up next. When the opening whistle blows on a repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business are available over at supplyhouse.com. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. If you need parts fast for a project, Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. Their Trademaster perks as well, like priority shipping and dedicated support lines for your team, make the whole process even smoother. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like that priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line just for you. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. And today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. You got to head on over to FanDuel right now. The line keeps moving on this Bearcats Oklahoma State game because you've got it started out at 21.5. Now it's 22.5. Then it's 21.5. They still kind of think it's a 3-score game for the Bearcats. I'm still leery about that because of the homecoming nature of this ball game. The over-under is interesting to me, though. 57.5. Bearcats just got done smashing the under against UCF. Got a feeling that this offense is ready to go, though, and I think they're going to make some plays. I'm feeling the over against Oklahoma State, over 57.5 as they head into Stillwater on Saturday. Head on over to FanDuel right now, and if you're a new user, your first $5 wager that wins will get you $300 in bonus bets. That introductory offer cannot be beat. So download FanDuel today. Thanks for making Locked On Bearcats part of your day. I invite you to make it part of your everyday routine by hitting subscribe right here on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app. We're free and available everywhere you get your podcasts. All right, Chad. So the defense, yes, I agree. The middle of the field. And it was hilarious, too, because we talked early on in the season. I'm talking less about it now because it feels like it's not as big of a deal. But, like, they doubled up in time of possession. But I've never felt less worried about a team that had the ball more. And so I think that's kind of hilarious how this defense plays into it. The one thing that I felt like UCF could do when they needed was scramble. And it didn't seem like there was a lot of adjustment in game to that. It kind of feels like that's going to be the same thing with Oklahoma State, at least so far as Sam Jackson's on the field as their quarterback. Is that something that you see being an issue?
As long as that quarterback, it goes back to the exact same philosophy, Jeff. As long as that quarterback is not busting 50-yard runs, like as long as they don't look like Lamar Jackson, then they're okay with it, right? Because we had this conversation the other night on the Bearcat Bounce podcast on Monday. If you bring us, like, so the reason that Cam Francher was scrambling is because the coverage was really good. There weren't a lot of openings. So if you take a spy, right,
you take away from that
coverage. And now maybe you're allowing a tight, you're taking a linebacker or a safety and you're putting them on the quarterback. Well, now what if they sneak their tight end into that spot and they make an easy 17-yard throw to a wide open player?
That's true.
I think that's part of why they were okay with, we're going to be who we are. We're executing at a pretty high level. And if this guy wants to run for 8 yards, okay. Where I think things changed early in that game, he was running around, getting out of bounds, and was not taking any punishment for what he was doing. Starting in the second half, when Jake Golday smoked him on the sidelines right before he got out of bounds, you saw him get a little more
little gun shy.
A little gun shy on when he was going to go. So as long as you're not getting busted for 15-plus yard plays, I think they're okay with it. And I don't think they felt Cam Francher could beat them with his legs, and he couldn't. That was proven. I think you'll probably see a similar philosophy on Sam Jackson. Depending on, do they feel like, and this could be an interesting part of this, maybe they feel like Oklahoma State doesn't have enough weapons that they can pull a guy and say, pay attention to the quarterback, because their offense is even worse than Central Florida's, and Central Florida's is bad. Like, at least with Central Florida, they had some explosives that you had to worry about. Like, they weren't good play-by-play, but they would hit home runs, and Cincinnati did a great job taking that away. Oklahoma State doesn't really even have home run hitters per se. So maybe they feel a little bit differently in looking at this matchup. But the other thing is, there's a difference between design quarterback runs and a quarterback dropping back and realizing, one, nobody's open, and two, this rush is about to get me. I better get the hell out of here. You can live with that. You can live with that to an extent, because you're executing what you want to execute. Now, if they're running design QB runs for 7, 8, 10 yards of play, you got to change up something. You got to fix something. Right. But I don't think there was anything that desperately needed to be fixed against Central Florida, in large part because they couldn't score.
No,
so what they were doing wasn't working.
That's true, because, they had the ball for 40 minutes, and like you said, it was the fourth quarter when they scored their first touchdown. But I think what this leads me to then next is the fact that, most of the guys who graded well on PFF, and most of the guys who we remember having good days, like Jake Golday and Logan Wilson and those guys, it's all in the, the second level. The defensive line didn't necessarily have its best day against UCF. So do you think we see more contain from them, or are they just going to go straight rush and make sure that they put pressure on them, and then they'll rely on the guys in the second level to make sure that, it stays like a 6 or 7 yard scramble?
Hard to this is not going to be a big pass rush team. Like, they just don't have that toolsy, twitchy edge guy that's going to get home all the time. They've actually been better than I anticipated at pressuring the quarterback and getting sacks, which they've had to be, because they don't have a single interception on the season, and they've only got a couple forced fumbles. So it's got to be one or the other. You got to be, make the quarterback uncomfortable and get some sacks, or you got to force turnovers. I thought it was going to be the other way. I thought they'd have more turnovers forced than pressures, but I don't know. I think what we've seen of the defense is what we're going to see. It's Tyson Bite's system. It's worked for a long time at Iowa State, and I think it took Iowa State fans a couple years of the same stuff before they realized, wait, the other team's not scoring. Like, Yeah,
that's all that
is
matters,
annoying.
right?
This
Like
is a little
yards
bit
are-
annoying to
yeah.
watch, right? But we give
Yeah.
up 350, 400 yards a game, and that's a pain in the ass. But on the flip side, the other team's got 13 points, and I can live with that. I'm okay with that.
I heard a conversation with Kyle Bodie that fits this. It fits all sports, but he was talking from a baseball perspective. But he said, it's the team's job to find out how to win. It's the league's job to make sure that it's palatable, and it's not necessarily the team's job to be entertaining as long as they win. And that's the case here, I think, with this defense. I wonder a little bit too, like, is this the game? And maybe that's why it's baked into the spread. They feel like the Bearcats will win by multiple scores because they do force the turnovers this week against a very suspect duo of guys that they'll probably see throwing the ball. So that could be. And I wonder a little bit about that.
They got to catch the damn ball, Jeff. They don't catch the ball. They've had like 6 interceptions in their hands, and they have caught exactly 0 of them, except for the one against Iowa State. That was an interception and was ruled a pass interference. That's the only one that's clean all year.
That's true. That's true. Hopefully they get on the board this week. I'm curious though, like based on that. So I'm feeling one way about that. I think we both are picking a win. I'm curious to see what the margin is. And then of course there was also some less than fortunate news for the basketball team, which we'll get into next. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details, and Mazda brings the same intention into how they craft every model of their vehicles. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents and available Napa leather upholstery to the fact that they've got all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV. You know that you can drive with confidence through almost any season, and you can make it everyday drives feel like anything but, because they've got that smooth handling and intuitive controls. Because just like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. I encourage you to keep the conversation going with myself and with Chad after the show is over. You can follow me on Twitter and on TikTok at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs, and you can follow Chad on Twitter at Chad Brendel. Do you have a TikTok, Chad?
Bearcat Journal. I haven't used it a ton.
Haven't danced yet? I mean, I haven't danced yet either. I'm trying to find the right song, but
I do so many other things that, like, adding even one more. Like, what is my lane on TikTok? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of lanes.
I know, but like, you just don't. It's not a sports heavy format, really.
Trying to break into it. I am. We'll see if it works out. It's working more on Red Stock than on Bearcat Stock right now, but I'll let you know. But yeah, definitely a lot of social ways to get in on the conversation with us after the show is over. All right, so they're winning this week. I knock on wood, all of the things. I just don't see how they end up losing this game unless some horrible, no good, terrible things really go down. I don't know about that spread, though. The spread keeps hanging around 3 touchdowns, more than 3 touchdowns. In some cases, I saw it up to 23, and I just don't know about that. I think they win by 20, and I still feel good about that. I'm not worried necessarily about the spread. I'll be happy if they win by 20, but I don't think they cover what FanDuel's currently got for them. I'd say let's go 35. Yeah, 35-15. Yeah. It's going to be a weird score.
I'm with you in that. Like UCF, it felt like a 10 to 14 point game, right? Yeah. Like that they're going to win by 10 to 14 points. UCF's going to keep the score low. They're going to try to eat clock, slow the game down. Okay.
I loved how everybody thought that ref had UCF.
Oh, he had
covering
UCF, for sure.
That was perfect.
The guy just fell down. There was nothing.
That was 4th down. Like, it should not have scored. They should. It
was 4th down. He fell down. Falling down is not an infraction for the other team.
Right.
It's 2 weeks in a row. Guy falls down. Ref throws a flag. No, he just fell down. It feels like a 3-score game. but that's backdoor cover territory.
Yeah, is that 17? Is that 21? What is that? Yeah.
So yeah, there's a reason I don't gamble. I will give my opinion on gambling, but do not take that advice because I'm really bad at it. You want to hear my gambling story, Jeff?
Go for it.
So remember during the Tommy Tuberville era, UC played Miami of Florida. It was the Fire Al Golden plane flying over during the tailgate.
Yep.
So leading up to that week, UC had like 8 guys that were out that had gotten hurt the week before, that were starters, that weren't going to play. And I have a buddy that likes to dabble. So sometimes I would call him and go, hey, this is maybe a chance at a market inadequacy. It's early in the week. I know these guys are out. I guess it's insider trading, but it's not illegal in sports, I don't think. Right. So I was like, UC's not very good to begin with. And Cincinnati's got like 7, 8 starters that aren't going to play. Like, do with that what you will. And he's like, that sounds like a bet the mortgage wager. And I'm like, I did that.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you the info. You do with that what you will. And Cincinnati went out and beat the brakes off Miami that day. And I told him at that point in time, I'm never giving you another bit of information ever again because I don't want that on me. I don't want that on me.
No, and I agree with you on that. Like it never feels like there's such a thing as a sure thing because the moment you think it is, that's probably a trap. That's the trap. Not necessarily the Oklahoma State game in and of itself. That feeling is the trap. But yeah, so you thinking about the same, like 35-15, something like that?
Somewhere in there. I think Cincinnati's in the 30s. I don't know that Oklahoma State gets to 2 touchdowns. I just we'll see. Like they don't have much explosion in the run or pass. So maybe they will just be content 3 yards at a time. And we'll see another. I've never in my life, Jeff, seen a 17-play, 40-yard drive that ended in a punt. 9 minutes, 17 plays, 40 yards. How do you only gain 40 yards in 17 plays? And you punt.
You run the 1960s Big Ten offense or something like that. I
mean, it's 4th down every series. Yeah. Like every set of downs, you get the 4th down, you convert, you get the 4th down, you get 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, 1 yard, 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, 1 yard. And then you get to 17 plays, 40 yards, and a punt.
There was a fella that was sitting near me, and I won't shout him out or nothing like that. But there was a fella that was sitting near me that every time they got a first down, he thought the world was ending. And I'm just like, dude, it's a first down. It's not a touchdown. Like, who cares?
Got 10.5 yards to get it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a wild thing for sure. I'm looking forward to a good game this week, and
I think the offense is going to be good.
Yeah,
I think the offense is going to be good. I might even push 38. Like that's the thing. You got to start. UC's kicking situation hasn't been good for a while, so you didn't factor in many of those 3 points. So you got 5 touchdowns. Steven Rusnak's going to get a field goal or 2.
Yep.
So I'll go 38-10.
I like it. I like
4 scores and 7 years.
Something like that. Let's close it out real quick. There was some news on the basketball team. We're going to talk a lot more about basketball as we get closer. We got a couple of scrimmages coming up and got an off week for the football team coming up. There's definitely a lot more basketball coming, but of course there was some bad news for the basketball team in that Jalen Haynes is going to miss some time now.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly how much time. I'm fearful that it's probably going to be quite a bit of time, unfortunately. But we'll see.
Conference play, or will he miss some chunk of that, you think, too?
I don't have that answer yet. It just happened Monday at practice. Sometimes you got to wait for the swelling to go down and, to get very specific answers.
And it was a lower body, right? A lower body injury.
Lower body, yeah. From the things that I'm hearing, It sounds like it's going to be a while. What a while means, I don't think is fully determined yet. But like, if you're thinking like, oh, we'll be back by Thanksgiving, I think that's probably not a good hope to have. I think it's going to be a while. So he was a guy that I thought was going to be a big part of their offense. And so that it's a team that is not incredibly talented offensively to begin with. I think it's going to be an excellent defense. I think Jalen Haynes, Big Slime, was going to be a big part of what they were able to do on the offensive end of the floor. So not having him, even for however long it is very impactful. The other thing that really I thought he was going to be. They lacked toughness last year, Jeff. They were soft, and anybody named Big Slime got some toughness to him.
Right.
And
you don't think of finesse with that nickname.
No. And I think they needed that. I think they went out and got him specifically because they thought he could bring some toughness. And with him out, I don't think they're going to be a replica of last year. I think that team liked looking at itself in the mirror, liked hitting record on TikTok, maybe a little too much. I don't think they're going to have that problem, but I would like to have seen what it looked like with him on the floor, and we're not going to, at least for a while.
Definitely still got a lot of coverage coming up when it comes to basketball, and the season's going to get going here soon. And also, of course, football talk all the way. Good game this week. I'm really hoping that they get bowl eligible in the month of October. You got to love to think about that possibility. That's going to be a lot of fun. Chad, I appreciate you joining me. We'll be back next week with me on the regular time, I think. We'll see how next week plays out for you. Yeah.
Follow me on Twitter. I will be in Ann Arbor Friday night for the scrimmage against Michigan. So I will be live updating on the Twitter app and on Bearcat Journal the happening as they take on the Wolverines Friday.
It's on Big 10 Plus or something like that. Yeah.
It's like $15 a month. It does not
come with the ESPN.
Nope.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, come on. Oh, well, I'll listen to Dan call it anyway. That'll be fun. Chad, appreciate you, man. And we'll see you again next week. And we'll be with you as well every single day here on Locked On Bearcats. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you comment, do all the things that's going to help out the algorithm, help folks find us a little bit easier on YouTube. And now make sure you check out Locked On Big 12 as Drake Toll has all of the big goings on in one of the most exciting conferences in America, and for my money, the best basketball conference in America. So much going on Locked On Big 12. Check them out right now. We also got the Locked On Big 12 squad show coming up later this week that I was on as well. That was a lot of fun. So make sure you check us all out because we're all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. See all of you tomorrow.